Thursday, October 13th, 2022, 11 defendants were arrested for running up an over $18 million investment fraud operation and money laundering over $52 million through an unlicensed cash-to-cashier's check scheme. According to the case documents, from January 2021 to late 2022, the posse, led by Jin Xiao Zhang of Staten Island, New York, were executing 3 lucrative fraud schemes. First, a fairly new method of fraud that has been impacting tons of victims all over, known as pig butchering. Second, running an underground money laundering business. And finally, drug trafficking, specifically moving that Molly and that nose candy, y'all. Anyway, in order to clearly break down this case, we're going to go through each of these schemes individually and also see how the FBI was able to infiltrate and eventually shut down the entire operation. Have you recently received a random message on WhatsApp or Instagram where this complete stranger attempts to spark a conversation with you as if you know them? If yes, you could have been a target for a potential pig butchering scheme. According to curbsonsecurity.com, U.S. state and federal investigators are being inundated with reports from people who have collectively lost millions of dollars in connection with a complex investment scam known as pig butchering. In this scheme, victims are lured by flirtatious strangers online into investing into cryptocurrency trading platforms that the scammers eventually steal any funds that these victims try to cash out. These pig butchering operations, or the traditional name Sha Zhu Pan, originate in countries across Asia, such as China and Cambodia, where the people creating these phony profiles are largely men and women who have been kidnapped and trafficked and forced to scam strangers over the internet day after day. In Zhang's case, according to the documents, he would call his pig butchering scheme T5, where he and his brother Jin Fu Zhang would manage a network of individuals who executed and laundered the money they would obtain from the scheme. The Zhangs would run the play and have the victims they tricked be connected to T5 account managers who would be their point of contact for any transactions they wanted to complete on the investment platform. The victims would be led to believe the money they were investing was going into cryptocurrency and forex markets, when in reality, all the money they were sending was going directly into the accounts of mules that the Zhangs were using to launder the stolen bread. The T5 operation would follow the traditional investment fraud MO and trick victims into thinking their investment portfolios were increasing. However, with pig butchering, the victims would initially be allowed to withdraw small portions of their profits, which was done to fatten them up, while further building trust in the phony investment platform and the bootleg T5 account managers. After the victims' accounts was nice and fat, they would wait for them to make large cash out requests, and at this point, they would be told they have to pay taxes, as well as transaction and legal fees. And whether the victims paid up or not, they would be butchered, which is when they are ghosted and never see their money again. From between May 2021 and August 2022, the case paperwork calls out multiple examples where the T5ers received victim funds into mule accounts that they would further transfer around in order to successfully launder the money. And in total, they scammed over 200 victims for nearly $18 million. The next scheme Zhang operated was his cash-to-cashier's check money laundering business. According to the case documents, between January 2021 and July 2022, he would receive large quantities of cash from clients that he would launder by converting the dirty money into cashier's checks issued by commercial banks, and in return, Zhang would charge a fee for his services, which was a percentage of the total cash cleaned. In order to successfully run this money laundering business, Zhang managed a network of individuals who would open shell accounts using stolen identities and forged Chinese passports with replaced photos. And after they would have an account open, they would travel to banks throughout New York and New Jersey and deposit cash in bulk, only to return several days later and withdraw the cash in the form of multiple cashier's checks. Now, the case paperwork doesn't call this out, but whenever customers do large cash deposits, this could come across as a red flag to banks, especially if it's happening in a fairly new account. But the fact that the individuals are dealing with cash makes it difficult for the bank to place a hold on the money, since it's impossible to identify the true source. So many times they will question the customer as to why they're doing large cash transactions, and they got no choice but to take the customer's word. Or they could just make the choice to end the banking relationship. But by that time, the money launderers could have successfully laundered hundreds of thousands of dollars. And with the way Zhang's crew was using forged passports, they could easily have the mules go into other banks using a completely different identity. So this play was essentially unstoppable without knowing the true identity of the mules. And I mean, even if they did, it would only be one person, and Zhang was managing an entire network of money mules. So I'm sure homeboy wouldn't be sweating that too much. So by this point, I'm sure you can agree, Zhang and his posse was all the way with the shits, which would eventually get the attention of the FBI, and they would in turn execute a plan to infiltrate Zhang's operation, and their way in was through his drug business. According to the case documents, from between May 2021 and September 2022, the FBI would use 2 cooperating witnesses as part of this infiltration plan. First, cooperating witness 1 was someone they picked up who was unable to pay debts that they owed on the streets. The FBI would pay his debts off, and in return, he would work for them as an insider invading the operation. And the second cooperating witness was a Boston-based criminal who worked with the agents in hopes that the charges that the boys had on him would be dropped. Beginning in May 2021, one of the members of Zhang's organization, Li Chan Huang, would meet and begin having a series of conversations with CW1 about if he knew anyone who could launder the proceeds from Zhang's drug sales by converting the money into Chinese currency. The cooperating witness would make Huang a counteroffer and agree to introduce him to someone who would be able to launder the drug money through cryptocurrency, which Huang would agree to, of course not knowing this person he was about to be connected with was an undercover FBI agent. From between June and July 2021, the witness would introduce Huang to 2 undercover agents posing as West Coast-based criminals who further explained how using cryptocurrency to launder the drug money was better because it was easy to send to China without being detected by law enforcement. Huang would eventually agree to use the cryptocurrency service and proceed to explain to the undercovers during a July 28, 2021 meeting in Newport, Rhode Island, that his boss needed to launder large amounts of proceeds from marijuana trafficking. They would all agree on how the cash pickups would work, usually meeting at a predetermined location like a bank parking lot or a coffee shop. They would send a courier with a bag full of cash to drop off to cooperating witness 1, and once the cash was confirmed, he would contact the undercovers who would send the cryptocurrency to a digital wallet that the FBI, of course, eventually found out was owned by Zhang. They would begin doing business, starting off with a $30,000 drop-off on August 6, 2021 that went smoothly, but the Fed's main goal was to get closer to the head of the operation. On August 19, 2021, they would plan another $30,000 exchange. This time, the undercovers would work directly with Huang, and during this meeting, the agents would make their first contact with Zhang over the phone. Now, fast forward to November 16, 2021, the FBI agents would direct the witness to contact Zhang directly. And during this call, they would inform Zhang that they've worked closely with Zhang's right-hand man, Huang, on several money laundering transactions. And Zhang would proceed to explain to the witness that his boy Huang didn't have the heart to do larger cash transactions because he wasn't willing to deal with the risks that come with it. Zhang would continue to speak with the witness about his willingness to do larger laundering transactions, and another money laundering contact he met in Boston, Roger Liu, who was cleaning $50,000 to $100,000 a day for Zhang. From this conversation, the feds would have Zhang wide open, and they would begin communicating with him directly, cutting out Huang as the middleman, and from November to January 2022, they would communicate and coordinate several drop-offs. First, November 22nd, 2021, $70,000. January 12th, 2022, another $70,000. And finally, January 14th, 2022 for $100,000. As Zhang began to build a closer relationship with the undercovers, they would set up a meeting at the One Brooklyn Hotel in Brooklyn, New York on January 10th, 2022. And during this meeting, the undercovers would attempt to get more information out of Zhang as they talked up their fake money laundering business and how most of their clients were coming from Latin America, and that they usually charged a 7% powder fee from money that was derived from trafficking that Snow White. Zhang would eventually begin chirping like a bird geeked up on blow and spill the beans on himself, informing the agents that most of the money he received in New York didn't come from weed, rather it came from coke sales, which he referred to as Latin America or white. After Zhang snitched on himself in this meeting, the feds was now aware that Zhang was a coke boy, and on August 11, 2022, the Undercovers would have a conversation with Zhang over Telegram where they arranged to purchase 3 kilos of that Coca-Cola. Zhang would coordinate to have a courier drop off the white the next day in Boston's Chinatown at 11 a.m., and the witness would pick up the goods and the feds would weigh and test the product and confirm that it was nearly 3.5 keys of pure cocaine. And finally, the paperwork isn't specific, but it does call out that the Undercovers would carry out 3 additional deals with Zhang. May 25th and September 5th, 2022, 1 and 2.5 kilos of cocaine respectively, and July 14th, 2022, 1 kilo of Molly. From all this and some, the feds would arrest Zhang and several other members involved in the various schemes, and now we gotta wait and see what's gonna be the outcome of this one, y'all. Because remember, all these members involved are innocent until proven guilty. But with that being said, that's the end of the video. Make sure you hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel, y'all. We on our way to that 30,000 subs. I appreciate all the support. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and stay tuned for more of my quality content on financial fraud and how to stay one step ahead of these fraudsters. All right? Peace.